A mother's intuition. Rachel, Sandy has never given up hope that there will be justice in her son's case. This is the closest she has gotten to that, 8 years. The challenge, though, being 8 years is a long time. Witnesses who knew him or who were around him in the weeks and months ahead of his death. Also evidence in the case. What will be the challenges for investigators and for the Smith family in this one?
8 years is a really long time. It's hard for people to have their memories come back from that time, and for the various different types of tips and different evidence that the state will have to show in order to bring the case and show who did it will be difficult because of the age of the case. However, it does appear that the prosecution must have something on their mind, that the detectives must have something that has given rise to this new investigation in calling it a homicide investigation, and that may have come out through the Murdaugh trial.
Right, and there is so much speculation around the Murdaugh family. You had Buster this week coming out in his own defense saying, these are rumors. I have nothing to do with Stephen's death. We also know that at the time of Stephen's death, Alec Murdaugh, who's now behind bars, 2 consecutive life terms for killing his wife and son, was at the scene of what we now know was a crime, along with his brother Randy. My question to you, as investigators try to peel back the layers of this case, are people more likely to talk if they know something, knowing that the Murdaugh family has faced some pretty serious legal trouble lately, and Alec Murdaugh now behind bars for the rest of his life?
I do think more people are likely to talk. And that's good and that's bad. So I think something has broken. I would guess, we don't know what that is, but I think something has broken, and they do have some sort of suspect and some sort of new facts that have elevated this investigation after so much time. The problem with people being more likely to talk now is that in light of Murdaugh's conviction and all of the details that have come out through the trial, it may in some way influence what people are likely to say. Because in hindsight, things may look very fishy after knowing who the Murdaugh family is at this point, or knowing what the facts were that were alleged throughout that trial. So I think the detectives and the prosecution will have a very long road to sift through those facts and make sure what they're hearing is legitimate and they can rely on it.
Yeah, the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do keep turning in the case of Stephen Smith. Let's talk about the Lori Vallow case, the Doomsday mom. If people have been following it, she will not face the possibility now of the death penalty, charged in the murder of her daughter and son. What was the judge considering, and what has he indicated in this ruling?
So what happened here was the prosecution came up with some discovery recently, and they just disclosed it to her and her attorneys. And what then happens, since it's so close to the trial, there's an April 3rd trial pending, is that the judge now has to think to himself whether to delay the trial based on this new discovery, so that the defense can build up all of its defenses it may have to the new evidence, or do something that might look like a middle ground and do what the defense attorneys asked him to do, which was take the death penalty off of the table because of the risk of appeal should she be convicted and sentenced to the death penalty. So defendants have a right to go through all of their evidence and to get their discovery in a timely way. And the argument here is that the prosecution, in delaying, in disclosing what they have just disclosed, has taken away some of her defenses. And the judge, instead of delaying the trial, said, okay, I hear you. And I don't think that this was intentional. I don't think this was disclosed late to prejudice you. But just in case, I'm going to take the death penalty off the table so that if there is a conviction, it's upheld.
Right. And then you've got the mental competency that's also part of this case. All right, Rachel Fiset, we'll leave it there. Thank you as always. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.